Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and do a tarot reading. I started calling on the ancestors. I called on Bastet to deal with this. Because it seems Egyptian authority is what they'll respect. I had this woman here in the spirit plane. I don't know what the fuck is going on in my body. All heard that's what they do with MK Ultra. It's all demolished and departed. They got my shit in the spirit plane with them, and out of body or something, but they got my shit in the spirit plane all fucked up, all demolished. She's supposed to be in charge of like guys, and God had the entity attack. I don't know. I felt some weird shit when I heard her say something. I'm tired of it. But with that being said, what they were doing is, having my shit all over the fucking spirit plane or some shit like that. Having my shit strewn all over. Breaking my body parts. But from what I saw in the spirit plane, they got me on board. They call it Animal Rara 14 or 3, 4, 5, 6. I use 694, 695 hertz to see. With that being said, they had my shit spread all over the fucking spirit plane from what I understand. And it took my child consciousness out there, the original timeline where I got soul swapped last night. My roach attachment from there and everything else, and fucked everything up. And I tried to separate me, my dad as much as possible. Killed off my dad when he tried to rescue. Anyways, from what I saw, they had me squinched up in the ship, and I felt how it felt again to feel physical. There's times where I look out that window, for instance, and sometimes can't see anything. My vision gets blurry, which is a sign of death, but I don't feel like I'm in the physical vessel. And from what I understand, they had me rolled up and in the teeth of a giant roach in the spirit plane. Like I said, the work, they trying to pull me back and all of that and help me out. I don't know what the fuck is going on. I'm trying to discern and see what the fuck is going on. You're playing with your consciousness, but I heard from Lingua the opposite. With that being said, I had Jacob Rothschild here. And try to put me back together. Not put me back together, but I guess put me in the real ship or something, and the real 3iAtlas, and Anumara, whatever the fuck, Safarish, whatever the fuck they want to call it. And I felt the physical hand, so I knew something was real. I can even hear reverb in here when I speak, like I'm in an empty room. You know, the road spirits were telling me for quite some time that I'm in a place where I'm not, you know, fully physical. And I just don't know what the fuck is going on, what the fuck is happening. That's why I started playing, you know, the Egyptian whatchamacallits. I should have been playing that. They were trying to reach out to them spirits, and they were saying, we ain't got to respect you, which is a problem. Because, you know, it's the Egyptians who created the God industrial complex and who they're beneath. You know, they were even telling their source they don't have to respect them. And I you know, because I'm related to ISIS, you know, Mansa moved to ISIS and all of that through my dad. That's why they keep trying to, you know, kill him off and all of that. You know, from what I saw in the spirit plane, they have him stuck in a roach realm. And with this 3iAtlas, they brought ancestors stuck in roach realms to pull me on board the ship to, you know, have it set up where they could steal my shit and I can't do anything to thwart it. They already have me to where I can't use frequency and all of that. And you know, they got Meghan Markle. You know, I keep hearing from these motherfuckers, oh, it's not physical, it's not real. And it is. I feel it. And, you know, the shit is having an effect. You know, shit gets taken out and all of that. You know, I have a connection to God taken out early this morning. And then it's supposed to be confused and fused with her. I don't know what the fuck is going on. Talking about your consciousness really wasn't, but it was, you know. Yeah, one of them evil things moved my soul consciousness. And, you know, next thing I know, I couldn't get shit back. And then I remember hearing one of my little road spirits get shut down the minute he said, you know, you ain't in your body, got you on board the ship, you can't come back. But from what I saw, and as the road spirits have been telling me, they got me squinched. I'm not fully physical. I'm not in my full physicality. And they got me squinched on board. They got me separated, but physically from my body. And they're doing it to try to steal my powers. You know, stripping me out. They don't respect, you know, their source, Egypt. But anyways, with that being said, I had my father who was stuck in one of them hell realms. My dad, Napoleon Williams, here. Come and help me out and come and rescue me. And he was like, you just gonna get on the ancestral, you know, ship and we just gonna get the fuck out. And I felt the difference. And so, you know, they had the Maria Snoop. He was talking about we go before her. I don't know if I would still get all my shit back. You know, I don't know. I remember they were telling Cassandra Nunez this was her entity attachment connection to place in the astral plane, the home that they gave her. They were showing me their homes. It's called Maison de Vaudeville or something, because all sorts of creepy, weird shit happened. But the mall extension, that's how little they think of Mexicans and Latins. As a matter of fact, my little road spirits and, Hispanics, Mexicans in the spirit plane took over the Illuminati in them timelines where I got soul swapped so I can be able to get back in and get them the fuck out. They keep trying to steal my soul, my child soul consciousness, so they can do some Beast of the Apocalypse shit with Zendaya. So I was invoking my power early this morning trying to get out, and I'm going to call on my Egyptian ancestors. I keep hearing they going, the problem with this shit is it makes you too accessible and too sensitive to the fucking spirit plane. You can't fuck with that shit. Mall extension that she had, and it keeps cutting off, but as I said before, that mall extension, that's how little they think of Mexicans and all of that, is what she had. They had like Aztec shit in there. I've actually had Coca help me out. A bunch of guides and goddesses actually come around to help me out, because after the Illuminati took over and stole the bodies in the spirit plane of whatchamacallit, Baron Samedi and Elegua, and I heard it's Prince Andrew and Prince Charles, fucking faggot. I heard he got Dumbo ears, my dad used to call him, and he be fucking that James Comey nigga. I heard that they were the ones who assumed their bodies, just like they keep trying to tear me out my motherfucking body. They keep trying to make me forget shit, and I'm trying to, my hardest to remember what I need to remember. But with that being said, I had Santa Muerte and a couple of other people try to, pull me back. And, I have a hard time believing it because, I see with my eyes, but I'm going to say this right now. My eyes, like I said before, it's almost astral-like. Like, when you look, you can't see clearly, but you can. And I usually can, but, there was shit, when they were trying to pull me back down, that was showing that I'm not fully in my fucking body, and something is wrong. That's what they're trying to do with them Egyptians, by the way, like what they did with Baron Samedi, so watch out for that shit. They even put, from what I heard, Michael Jackson in the Roach realm. So that, because he didn't want to work with him, so that he'll suffer, they'll suffer, and he's been trying to call his Egyptian Commission ancestors and can't. With that being said, that's why they keep trying to oppress me as much as they can, put me on this shit from what I'm feeling and seeing now. It's because they want to covet their power. And I and a bunch of other people have been blocking it in the spirit plane as much as we can. I don't like the motherfuckers. I don't like the motherfuckers right off the bat. I've always been a conspiracy theorist. I'm not going to say I'm anti-system just to be, anti-system and all of that. But I see shit for what it is and I call it the fuck out. I ain't got time for the bullshit. I want them people out. And from what I understand, the motherfuckers want to cover my powers so they can do that Beats of the Apocalypse shit with Zendaya. Early this morning when I woke up, I tried putting all of them in fucking hell realms by using, as Effie Omni guys was telling me, and a couple of other motherfuckers, use your power. Baron Samedi from another timeline, they, took him, put him on board a spaceship and all that shit. They trying to fuck with him, and he was from one of my original timelines when I lived on the PCH. It's just a lot. It's a lot. Also, I wanted to mention, if I didn't mention it before, Prince Andrew and Prince Charles, from what I understand, are in the bodies. of Baron Samedi in the leg. Why? You know, my consciousness is fucked up, and you know, flayed. Not flayed, but whatchamacallit, the way I can't remember shit. I'm trying to figure out what the fuck they doing. You know, from what I heard, they got the roach spirits under their control. They got my higher cells on board the ship, and they've done some where they separated my body in the spirit plane to where, you know, I'm not on the ship, but my spirit team is, and I don't know what the fuck is going on. I don't know accurately what the fuck is going on with my Archangel Michael. You know, I want the real one. I saw what he was doing yesterday. Still in my soul consciousness, I just felt that something get taken out. And they were fucking with the entity attachment, correlating to it yesterday. A whole bunch of, you know, shit was coming out, entity attachment, spirits and all of that, and, you know, telling me it ain't real. I don't know what the fuck is going on. I don't know what's going on. But from what I understand, I was able to escape from the ship last night through my fault, and they, you know, because I made a fucking simple ass mistake. That's why I don't like this shit. The minute I make a simple mistake, just in actions or even fucking thoughts, I can't have any intrusive thoughts with this shit, which is why I have a problem. That's dangerous. You can't have your consciousness you know, whatchamacallit like that, I want to say not splayed, but I can't remember, man. My shit's fucked up. When they have your shit fucked up like that, you can't really do anything. You know, your consciousness, that's your identity. That's the pivot, the epitome. That's who you are. You know, you can't fuck with that. I keep having shit like move to the fucking back and all this shit, and I need to have some type of spiritual protection. That's why I don't like them road spirits that much. They trying their best against their nature, but they can't do it like it's supposed to be done. With that being said, from what I understand, when I went to sleep, you know, I woke up trying to remove my connection to God and everything else. I woke up and kept trying to remove like certain road spirits, certain parts of my consciousness and shit. And kept on talking about, you know, we got you, you captured, we're going to take your shit. From what I understand, motherfuckers talking to entity attachments, they talk to my, that's why they hate blacks, you know, we're crowned by the Tower of Giza, whites, they commence in the cave and all that, everybody's supposed to have come from entity attachments. With that being said, they spoke with the source that's connected to the Cometians. And they say, well, we ain't got to respect you. You know, again, from what I understand, the spirit plane, they put Michael Jackson in the roach realm because they want to cover his shit. And he's been trying to, you know, get help and get rescued ever since. And hopefully they ain't got no whatchamacallit of him. And hopefully they ain't gonna do no deceptive shit. Use 694, 695 hertz and all of that to see exactly what the fuck is going on. I don't, that's some evil shit. You know, every time I try to get my consciousness back, spinal cord back and all that shit in the spirit plane, Meghan Markle and them be tearing it up. I've been trying to kill the Illuminati since this started. I came close with Satan. Satan was helping out a lot. Very instrumental. He was closing the soul contracts. I remember they were doing something with, now they're trying to bar my head from remembering. Doing something in the spirit plane last night with, contracts. Where they were, breaking their contracts, where I think it was Satan who was breaking they sold contracts or something. Something was happening. Something was being done where, because I was getting confused with Enemy and all that. They were trying to put Princess Beatrice and all that shit in my timelines as in charge. And it was something about breaking soul contracts. They were about to annul the soul contract with the Pine Darcia car, who I helped release a couple of days ago. It was I keep trying to use like my inner entity attachments, talking about this Pine, that Philippine, that Rothschild and shit. Close to killing her, some of the Rothschilds last night, but I heard they took their soul consciousness out, but I believe that was them. They do in fact use a chronovisor, which is connected to your third eye and shit, to see what the fuck you doing. And I saw that a long time ago where I was in university. I was walking around, and I remember seeing Obama at one point, and then them, and I was told it's not them, but anyways, I called on the commissions to try to, help me out. And from what I understand, they ain't respecting my source and all that shit. And I felt not depersonalized, but displaced spiritually. My energy body is all fucked up. But when that Jacob Rothschild came around and put me in the other whatchamacallit, I could see that I'm not in my full fucking physical body. That shit was physical, and I felt it. And I wasn't, fully put together. So I know, that shit that them little motherfuckers be spewing is real. He woken me out of my consciousness and every fucking thing else, talking about we're going to take your power, we're going to do this, and there's nothing you can do, and we can get key case from all different timelines to sign off, and we'll just steal your shit. I want to kill him, and I came pretty close. Like I say, they say something about me is setting off a chain reaction that's going to affect other gods in the spirit plane, allow them evil motherfuckers to take over. And He-Kate is supposed to be independent. I feel them putting all sorts of entity attachments. You can't function like that. Even without them rogue spirits, they would be doing that shit. I felt somebody just slam down something. I heard they took out my child consciousness, especially in that timeline the other night. The girl's God, connection to God. I don't know what's going on. And tried to replace them with her, with them, quite possibly. I don't know what's going on. Hopefully they're not. I know they took them on board the spaceship. That's why I feel out of it. And in Tranquil, when they were talking about removing that consciousness, little roach spirit from that timeline, little roach entity attachment. And setting things up to be in charge. The girl's a spirit, so 2160 hertz could work on her. They keep using 1248 hertz along with all the frequency I got in my playlist called Frequencies to Use Against the Illuminati. Well, Frequencies to Use Against the Curse. I got one for the Illuminati. It's 1248 hertz combined with 2160 hertz, but they're doing something to use it against me. So with that being said, use against me. So with that being said, it should keep cutting off. Thank goodness I caught that. So we got the 10 of Pentacles. And in the obstacle position, just like, I saw that they tore up my fucking father in that original timeline or something. And I don't know. And they were tearing him up and killing him off and all of that. And I was trying to invoke my powers to bring them back. Been trying to give that girl Zendaya Coleman. I heard she a shopaholic with a black card from them in that timeline. All my shit. But, watching the spirit plane, listen to Baron Samedi by Neural Meditations and all of that. Legua by Neural Meditations. They were trying to take over his God, connection to God and all that shit. To see if it's Prince Charles and Prince Andrew that shows up. It's a lot of evil shit that's been going on. I know in that original timelines and Zendaya Coleman been showing up as Hike and they've been treating her as that. And stealing that little bit of shit, from me, and I'm pissed. I feel overwhelmed, but I'm like, this is my body. And I'm just pissed how they didn't respect the Commission source, which is the real one within me, when they were telling them, no Illuminati, nothing. I don't like this shit. So 10 of Pentacles, I feel like you're estranged from certain family members who can be an abetment, who can help you out. I feel like hopefully things will be assuaged today. Ace of Swords is your current situation, your current is the current predicament, current position is where you're currently at. I feel you in a place where it seems bleak and it ain't really all that fucking bleak, but where you're taking charge and you're going to be able to get the help that you need. 10 of Wands. I see a lot of people corralling around you and helping you out, putting you back together like with me, and just, bringing you to a more stable place. Subconscious, we got the Queen of Pentacles. I see that you're at a place, Rothschilds and them better not play no fucking shading fraud with me with this shit and try to fuck with my entity chat and put their own shit. I ain't got time. Just like, I think they did that last night. Meghan Markle was trying to put her shit on me and I was using 142 hertz to remove it. So with that being said, I feel something doing that shit right now. I gotta get these evil motherfuckers the fuck up out of here and end this shit. I don't care if it's no Anna Murrah. They coming from that Mo's Millions Odin Lloyd timeline. So we got the Queen of Pentacles. So we got the Queen of Pentacles. Queen of Pentacles, and that's the subconscious. And I feel like that pertains to you being oppressed and you going through a lot of hardship, a lot of hell. I do this shit on my own. You supposed to have fucking inner spirit team entity attachments to do that shit, not me. Keep hearing that evil bitch Meghan Markle. I can hear that evil Rothschild motherfucker talking and all that shit. I'll be manipulating my fucking soul consciousness, and because they all in it, because I got shit that allows them to come in, and I gotta do something about it. Archangel Michael was telling me, you should have been done something, to get that shit out, so you wouldn't be in this predicament. Remember one day, I love collecting, wildflowers and all of that. Could have had lavender. They call it sage, which I like to smoke, but man, I can't smoke. Another thing I like to burn is incense. That makes me feel good, and it pisses me off. Shit done buried too deep in my entity attachments, and I gotta stop this shit before it gets worse. One of my favorite films, Platoon. One of the most handsome guys who ever existed that I like, to me, Tom Berenger, simply because my mother had a crush on him. This was back in 1994, 1995, 6, 7. We used to watch Picket Fences and all that shit. I remember Costas Mandalore had a crush on him. Remember Big Fat Greek Wedding? I never had a crush on him. He was in Titanic. Billy Zane, he an asshole. I heard he didn't like me in my old neighborhood. America Mile. With that being said, one of my favorite quotes by him is, when the machine breaks down, we all break down. And my consciousness, soul consciousness is fucked up. And it's too much shit going on. A lot of disparate shade and fraud shit going on. And I ain't got time for it. You know, I know this 3iAtlas, something ain't right. But I'm trying to figure out what the fuck is really going on. Like I say, they put entity attachments on me a Sunday or Saturday on November the 18th. But I felt when that guy's highest self, Jacob Rothschild, came, pulled me out, and I felt the difference. And it was significant. I ain't got time to deal with this shit. With that being said, we got the Queen of Pentacles. And I feel that you're going up against a major brick wall. I'm going to say this right now. You got a woman that's going to help you and that's going to look out for you. You're going up against something that's a major block. So, nigga Meghan Markle having daddy using Lester to stand that bitch. I heard she doing bloodletting ceremonies on African kids and teasing and tormenting and torturing them while by speaking, while torturing them and shit. And I never liked that bitch. There was always something about her that just doesn't sit right. I'm not a big fan of celebrities, period. None of that bullshit he supposed to have whatchamacallit over Helly Weird along with Dan Samity. He was about to get, whatchamacallit with it. I don't know what's going on with that in that original timeline. But, hopefully Illuminati don't take over. I remember when I did that video talking about Kanye West soul swap and all the frequencies to break free of them. 1248 hertz being the big one. I was combining 1248 hertz plus 2160 hertz for maximum pain against them. 1215 hertz could be used to annul soul contracts. They were doing soul contracts to Rothschilds on my behalf without my permission, since they got me stuck up here, which you ain't supposed to be doing. Talking about, we're going to make you a sacrifice to the sea of cards. We're going to sell you, as a sacrifice. And I'm like, you ain't my fucking you ain't my charge. You're not in charge of me, man. You ain't got no authority, nigga. You're supposed to be more powerful than you when you think about it. So who the fuck? That's cosmically, it's got to be legal. The Egyptians oversee God. So, if God, I heard he set up the soul swapping thing with that girl. Told him you're going to be famous, but you won't be in your body. But he didn't tell her that. So that him and the Illuminati could have me as a sacrifice. With that being said, they're going to put up the wrong demiurge because this shit tricky. I can't have this shit. And I'm trying to just get my shit back. Parts 3, I can't stand it. Throwing out entity attachments of mine, I feel fucking hollow like a motherfucker. I feel like I'm transparent. But it's only as transparent one day. But with that being said, you can't use your frequency. How you going? We're not talking about Pine, they put a screen on my fucking cell phone. They didn't want people to hear. You can't act as it ain't agent, but it's something else. They can't act, not authority. Well, anyway, just sum it up. They ain't got no right. So Ace of Cups is the goal. And something is telling you you ain't that far from the finish line, but you got shit making you feel like you that far and keeping you estranged and expunged from real help. I think I was about to get it early this morning with them roach attachments. They were showing me something about Rothschilds being out of my consciousness, but being able to get a little bit of their soul consciousness to put in hell realms and all of that so I can be able to break free. Before my father was putting them on board the witchcraft so I could get my shit back. Couple of spirits. So, advice card, 8 of Wands. Like, you can't release certain information they're gonna fuck with. How this shit? How these motherfuckers can't see what it just don't make any sense. So, 8 of Wands. That's the advice card. And something is telling you, just go in the direction you feel is auspicious. 3 of Swords is the energy you're around. And you got a great deal of motherfuckers suppressing you. But soon you're going to have a great deal of motherfuckers supporting you. 7 of Wands is your fears and your hopes card. And you're fearing that the fight you up against ain't impossible. So this shit's eternal. It can still be handled properly. The Magician, this shit keeps zooming in and out. The Magician is the outcome card. And I see you making a major mistake, but one that could undermine you. But just know when to correct it when need be. With that being said, if you want a more personalized reading, please contact me at ravenbyterror22@yahoo.com. Peace.